What's up everyone? This is the first video in my series called Vegan for the Animals, where I'm going to go over how different animals are treated in various industries and hopefully make the case as to why you should go vegan for the animals. And today we're starting with cows. Oh, cows? Cool. I like cows. I mean steak. I like steak. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever gotten to meet a cow. I mean, if you're like me, you haven't spent much time around cows. I've only been around cows maybe, I don't know, a few times in my life, but I did really enjoy them and I love cows. I mean, cows are like gigantic puppies. For the most part, they're really sweet and gentle animals, and cows are fascinating. They have a 300-degree vision, they have an excellent sense of smell, being able to detect scents from up to 6 miles away, and as most people know, they have a 4-chambered stomach. That is cool. They're individuals with different personalities and they can love to play, and most importantly, they're able to feel a variety of emotions, including having the ability to feel pain and to suffer. Now, most people tell me that they would not harm animals themselves or pay for anything that causes harm to animals. So the question is, are cows being harmed? I don't think so. Unfortunately, yes. Whether cows are being raised for beef, dairy, or leather, they are being harmed in a lot of different ways, so let's dig in here. But before we do, let me remind you to like this video, and if you're looking for more information to help you with your vegan journey, then make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that way next week when a new video comes out and I'm yakking about something else vegan, you'll be the first to know. Now back to the question at hand. Are cows being harmed? Because cows are treated like property instead of independent animals, they're often branded with hot irons to signify who the owner of that cow is, which is of course painful. There are alternatives to hot branding like freeze branding, lip or ear tattoos, ear tagging, etc. But as you can imagine, some of the other forms of identification still cause unnecessary and unwanted pain. Cows also often have their horns cut off due to the fact that when they're kept in captivity, the horns could end up causing harm to humans, other cows, other animals, or even the individual cows themselves. Dehorning or debudding is usually done without local anesthetic and therefore results in significant pain. Some studies even point to cows having decreased appetites for weeks following the procedure, indicating that ongoing pain is also experienced. Cows also sometimes have their tails cut off because farmers claim that it helps with the transmission of disease and helps make milking easier. This again is usually done without any anesthetic and results in pain. But horns and tails aren't the only body parts cut off of living cattle. To prevent reproduction and aggressiveness, as well as to produce higher quality, more marbled, and more tender meat, male cattle are often castrated. Hold on, what? Yeah, this is often done by having an elastic band placed at the base of the scrotum to have the testicles physically removed. If you're a guy, or even if you aren't, I'm sure you can imagine how you wouldn't want this forcibly done, against your will. No, I would not want that. Since over 90% of the animal products we eat come from factory farms, the cows that are raised for food are more often than not crammed by the hundreds and sometimes thousands into terrible, filthy conditions, where they are many times just standing in their own feces. Now, because of these crowded and filthy conditions, the cows are often given drugs such as antibiotics to try to keep them alive and healthy enough until they reach slaughter age. Now, being pumped full of antibiotics is of course not really great for the cow, especially since one of the reasons for this is not for health at all, but because it helps the cows grow faster. Now, a lot of the practices that I've been talking about so far have been for cattle that are being raised for meat or leather, so you might be thinking you'll give up those, but not your cheese or your other dairy products. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I could give up leather and beef, but it's not like taking the milk hurts the cows, right? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, the dairy industry definitely causes cows pain and suffering, maybe even more than the other industries. Many people still think that cows just produce milk naturally, but just like humans, they only produce milk after birthing their offspring. So how do we as humans make that happen enough to get all of our dairy products, you ask? Well, in the dairy industry, male cows are restrained and have probes forced into their rectum, and then they use electroejaculation to get the bull semen. Then they restrain the female cow on what is sometimes called the rape rack. They force their hand and arm up the female's anus for positioning, and then insert the bull semen to force the female cow to be pregnant. Fun, right? No. After around 9 months of being pregnant like humans, the mother gives birth to her calf, but the calf is forcibly separated from their mother, sometimes immediately, but usually within the first 48 hours. The mother then usually cries out for her young, and this sometimes lasts for weeks. This is quite possibly the saddest and most cruel thing that we do to other animals on this planet. Whether you're a parent or not, you can imagine the awful feeling you'd have if you were separated from one of your own children. If the calf does get to spend time with the mother, then soon after, the baby is given a spiked nose ring to prevent the cow from nursing and to wean the calf. The baby calf is then often killed for veal or raised for beef and then killed. The mother is hooked up to machines and treated like a machine as we steal the milk meant for the babies that are now dead. Cows now have been selectively bred too, so they produce more milk than ever before. An average dairy cow now produces around 7.5 gallons of milk per day, and if they were just feeding their baby, it would be closer to only 1 gallon of milk per day. And this comes with more problems and more pain for the cows. The mothers often get mastitis, which is an inflammatory disease or condition of the udders that causes swelling, heat, redness, hardness, and pain. The mother is forced to go through this process for years until she is considered spent because she can no longer produce milk, and then she is killed too. Jeez. Cows naturally live 15 to 20 years, so all of these cows' lives are cut very, very short. Veal calves on average are killed between 1 to 24 weeks, beef cows are killed on average when they're only 2 to 3 years old, and dairy cows are killed when they are spent, and on average that's around 4 to 5 years. And when they're being transferred to the slaughterhouses too, they're often transferred in extreme weather conditions, and sometimes these journeys can take up to 48 hours with no access to water or feed. When they're killed, they're often put into these lines where they experience more terrible conditions, and then they have a captive bolt put into their brains, which is meant to stun them, although oftentimes this doesn't work, especially with the numbers that are slaughtered nowadays. Globally, it looks like around 1.5 billion cows are farmed each year, and the number killed each year is around 300 million. Whoa, that's like almost the entire population of humans in the US. Yeah, it is. Some slaughterhouses kill up to 400 cows per hour, and with these speeds and the stunning not always being effective, it means that many of these cows have their throats slit and bleed out while they're fully conscious. And for leather, they're often skinned alive. This is not even all the harmful things that are done to cows, and these are all just the standard legal practices and their consequences. You know, this doesn't include all of the times when workers also abuse the cows in other cruel ways, like punching them, kicking them, or shocking them to get them to do what they want. And although you'd like to believe that some of these things just rarely happen, and it's just a few bad apples, it seems that every year there's some new undercover report that comes out that's exposing more of this cruelty, and sometimes it's at the farms that are recognized for having the most humane practices in the industry. What I said towards the beginning of this video is absolutely true. Most people will tell me that they never will harm an animal themselves or pay for anything that directly causes harm to an animal, but unfortunately, if you buy beef, dairy, or leather, then your money is supporting this pain, this suffering, and the death that these cows experience. But the good news is that you can stop whenever you want. I mean, you don't need beef, dairy, or leather, right? No, I don't. Click on the playlist on your screen now if you want to see more information about veganism, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stop looking at what you can't do and start looking at what you can do. Thanks.